God bless you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for Church on Monday. So excited to be here. So right now, if you can, do me a favor, share this stream with somebody. Let somebody know to come in and join us tonight. As you can see, today we have a special guest with us. Someone who I want to say started the I don't even know how to say it, but started the events in New York City. I remember Jeremiah was one of those like pioneers of putting together these events in New York and the Bronx and concerts and Elevate back then. Uh
The
um
Noche Alabanza.
yeah, Noche de Alabanza and all those things. It was like an amazing time for the Bronx. I'm just want to speak for that season. And someone who's doing amazing work in the city of New York, someone who is out there, boots on the ground, um, doing a lot of amazing things. So I just said, you know what, for today I'm gonna bring on my bro Jeremiah, and I'm gonna just allow him to kind of introduce himself and kind of speak to what he's doing, what he's involved with, and kind of inspire those who are listening or those who will listen to kind of get out there and do something, for the community they live in. So the floor is yours, Jeremiah.
Well, firstly, I want to thank you, Pastor, for having me. I'll reiterate what I said pre-show,
Mm-hmm.
pre-conversation, that I'm really happy for to see your development, your growth, and to see your consistency in your walk and in your calling. So, I commend you for it.
Thank
I
you, bro.
thank God for that. And I pray that He continues to bless you and open crazy doors for you.
Amen.
Definitely you took me back with the Noche de Alabanza and the Elevate. I credit everything that where I'm at now to my roots. You know what I'm saying? And for every moment, for every part of our lives, or every season, God knows what He's doing. And so,
Amen.
um, right now, I work, as you mentioned, I work for the city of New York. I've been in city government since like 2017, 2018. I've worked for the Department of Health. I worked for the mayor's census team. I've worked for a congresswoman. I've worked on campaigns. I've been endorsed by Congress to work for the president in D.C. I sit on the steering committee for several health events in the city and in the borough. Right now, I'm on the mayor's home support unit, so I help people in shelters find housing.
Wow.
And New Yorkers who have Section 8 and City FEPS and SODA, different programs.
Mhm.
I help them find housing. I'm also the co founder of a labor movement called City Workers for Justice. And what we do as a group is we hold city government accountable while we advocate for equal pay, for mental health services, for just the basic rights that people deserve, especially
Mhm.
city workers. And we use that platform. When I say we, I use it referring to like the group, to also reach into other areas of society. The group we've raised money for folks for street vendors. We've stood in the gap, to use a church phrase. We've stood in the gap for other
Mhm.
communities that have needed advocacy and needed support. So definitely, and right now we're fighting for remote work.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I saw that. I had one of those like when it comes to telework basically, like
uh-huh,
working
uh-huh,
at a remote site. Like what is driving that for you
yeah,
to advocate for that change? Cuz I know there's been some resistance around that
yeah,
subject, and it's effective, like it works, but just
yeah.
kind of to speak a little bit, maybe there's people out there that don't know what that is,
Right.
and you
So
know
usually people associate like remote work, people just lazy. They don't want to come into the office.
Mhm.
You know, like well, we did it before COVID. Why can't we do it now? The pandemic showed us,
Mhm.
right, how inequitable that system was before COVID. You know what I'm saying? Because what the pandemic showed us was there was a lot of, specifically within my group, which is city workers,
Mhm.
there were, which are New Yorkers that live throughout the five boroughs. There were single mothers who were able to save money on childcare. Single moms were able to spend time with their family. There were groups, there were couples that were able to have kids and be with their children. There were city workers who were able to be caregivers to their parents
Mm.
who passed away from different things. When I say we're pushing for remote work, we're pushing for a better work-life balance,
Yes.
right? Work is important, yes, but work shouldn't dominate your life.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because God forbid, if I drop dead today, my job will send out a memo tomorrow. Rest in peace, Jeremiah. By Friday, they hired somebody to take my
Yep.
position.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So what it is pushing for something that's equitable. It makes sense. There's a lot of people, when you talk about New York City right now, we all know the gas prices are high. We know inflation, rent is crazy high. You know what I'm saying? And so you have people in New York who don't make enough money, especially city workers, don't make good money. You know what I'm saying? And it's not me lying or saying it. You could look it up. It's public record. You could see my salary. Like you could see anybody who works for the city of New York, the salary is public record. You can see it. And you can see there's people there making 30, 40,000, and you can't live
No.
off 30, 40,000 in New York. So, the push for remote work is that, man. It's a push for equity. It's a push to help people have better work-life balance, be able to save money so they can invest in things, buy a home, buy an apartment, get married, have a family, the things that we want to do, but because, transportation and the city is expensive, people can't do.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. I think remote work is. Now, I was thinking about that today about the fact that people have to, especially for parents, man. I know how hard it is for moms to kind of FMLA runs out and everything, and they kind of have to go back to work, put their kids in daycare, small kids,
Absolutely.
and they're working jobs that can be done remotely. Um,
Yep.
and I think, where do you think the resistance is coming from? Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially from this new administration who has kind of stated a lot of weird things,
Yeah.
just to kind of put
Yeah.
it that way. When it
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
to there was a comment stated about I want my workers, my I think he's referred to a class, low class workers, low skilled workers. I want them like in the office, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of thinking, just what I remember. What do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
think that resistance comes from? And I know you spoke about the laziness and people think that you
Yeah.
work from home was lazy, but speak a little bit. And for the people who are joining today, might not be the typical church on Monday, but if you want to learn something, stick around, and you'll leave with something. But just speak a little bit about to that comment, that resistance that we're getting about that.
Yeah. Yeah, Mayor Adams is so what I tell what I like, the Bible says money is the root of all evil,
Hmm.
right? And we know that, when you chase money, money, and then, from our Christian perspective, right? From our within the context of our Christian faith, right? If you chase anything more than God, right? That could sometimes lead you down dangerous paths.
Yeah.
And so what we have is a mayor who loves the support of the real estate people.
Okay.
And New York City is predominantly run by the real estate people.
Hmm.
And so when you talk about um, I need my city workers back into the city. I need my workers back into the city because low wage workers depend on you being back in the office. My question is, there's a lot of things to unpack there, right?
Hmm.
If those workers, first of all, there's so much. First of all, a Starbucks worker doesn't get paid enough, right? That's not a city worker's fault. That is a Starbucks fault. I'm not saying that it's right that they shouldn't get paid. They should get paid better.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They deal with a lot of stuff. They should get paid better. Have you gone to Starbucks? Have you seen how crazy them Starbucks is be getting? They should get paid better. They should be getting paid good money.
I agree.
And so everyone should be paid a livable wage.
Hmm.
When you say somebody's low wage, what you're calling them is stupid, right? And what sometimes we don't like to talk about, which is true, not everyone has access to the same resources.
Hmm.
It's a fact. People don't like to hear it because they think it, like, oh, that's not true. No, we don't all have access to the same things,
Hmm.
and folks don't. And there are folks within the city, within the Black and Brown community specifically, that don't have access to educational resources and material and things. And you can argue whatever point you want, but from a government side and from working within, I could see that a lot of it is done intentionally. So you're attacking a group that because of some situations, and a lot of the situations, contexts that are out of their control are in the situation they're in. And so you're not only you're attacking them, but that you're saying that they depend on city workers coming into the office. If I go into Starbucks and I buy $300 worth of coffee, what is that worker going to get? Is that worker going to get money from that $300 that I spent? And when you talk about stimulating the economy, what economy am I stimulating in downtown Manhattan where there is, you tell how many bodegas are in downtown Manhattan by Wall Street? How many mom and pop how many mom and pop places are by Wall Street?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's better that I stimulate the economy in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? On 176, on Burnside, on Bathgate, on Jerome and Fordham, than me going down to Wall Street and stimulating the economy. And so what it is, why this mayor is so resistant to remote work is because if we're not in the office, then his real estate people are losing money.
Okay.
And like, you know, when you chase an idol and the idol controls you, you know what I'm saying? And the idol determines your every steps. You make every decision you make is predicated on pleasing that idol.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of,
yeah.
Yeah, so many of the people in our churches are those low, I guess. I'm not a fan of that, you know.
And nobody's a fan of it.
Yeah, no.
They're just trying to struggle. They're struggling.
That term low skilled is like a classist term. I don't like to use that term, but many of those people who work those jobs are members of our church, are members of our congregation who are the taxi drivers, the Uber drivers, the bodega workers that work long shifts and come and sit in our seats and they're tired and they fall asleep in our services because of the way the city is set up. You know, not just the city, just the country as a whole when it comes to livable, a livable wage. And I know that you're like really that's one of the points that you're advocating for is having that equity for all people. Regardless of status, regardless of whatever it is, like we need to create a city that benefits everyone.
That's
one of the questions that's coming to mind, and maybe you could shed a little light to this, because this the recent tragedy that happened in the Bronx with the fire in the Bronx, right? There was money allocated to that. I believe Cardi gave some money as well.
Cardi, Fat Joe.
And maybe there's churches out there and people who want to give and want to support those causes. And this kind of this move or like this lack of transparency scares people from saying, I don't know. Can you like shed some light on that, or like, or at least point us to the right direction of how can we help the community without having to kind of our money getting lost in agencies and things like that. Yeah.
So, you know, one thing that I always recommend folks, you know, if you like, for example, if the building down your block burns, go walk around the building, go talk to people. You know what I'm saying? My gut will tell you you're gonna meet people there that are trying to help with the recovery and are doing good work. There's organizations right now that are helping the families with the fire. The Gambian Youth Organization, the South Bronx Mutual Aid. These are organizations that are on the ground working with these families directly. You know what I'm saying? You talked about the money in the mayor's fund that Cardi B, you know, gave and Fat Joe gave. This is why I always tell people, you don't put faith in the structures, right? You don't put faith in structures. Structures will fail you.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? Like you do not do that. You know, and that's one thing I always bring with me from my church, bringing in my own relationship with God. I don't put faith in no politician. I don't put faith in no structure because all of that is set up to fail. So I put faith in my God because I know that he's faithful. I know that he doesn't fail. And so, you know, when I hear when the mayor collected this money, I told everybody that would listen, do not donate to the mayor's fund. Do not donate to the mayor's fund. Donate to the Gambian Youth Organization. And they collected $1 million and they've been giving it out to the families.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But what happens is again, the political system is made up of people that are imperfect. And again, what I talked about earlier, for some people, the idol is money.
It's money.
For other people, the idol is clout. We live in a society that wants clout. Everybody wants to be known.
That's true.
Everybody wants to be the next,
Hmm.
the next, whatever that is for you. Everybody wants to be the next, and the pursuit of being the next has become an idol.
Oh, you preaching
And
right now,
so
bro.
I'm just saying. And so it's like
Go ahead.
when
Go
you look,
ahead.
and so when you look at what's going on in the Bronx, there's a lot of elected officials, who are who want that. They want to be the next.
Mhm.
And what happens is when you forget about the next, when you're trying to be the next and you're so self-absorbed, you forget about your mission, the purpose. You forget about why you're there. You forget who put you there. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these elected officials were put there by the very people that are being ignored right now and are calling for help and are being ignored by the city, are being ignored by elected officials and the powers that be. And so it's important that you not only do you when there's a situation or a crisis, you go down to these places and assess for yourself.
Yeah.
But it's important that you also volunteer within your community,
Okay.
because volunteering in your community, you begin to meet organizations. If volunteer for your community board, sign up to go to a community board meeting, sign up, like do research on organizations. Whatever your passion is, there's an organization for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, so I feel like definitely I can, share with you resources for people to get involved with the fire. But I think folks need to just get more, they need to volunteer more with their community. That's the best way to
Yeah.
find out who's really on the
On the
ground
ground. Okay.
and who you really know you can count on when something's going on.
So, and so I just to kind of ask you this, because I started off the conversation by saying at one point you were kind of leading the charge when it came to events
Mm-hmm.
inside the church, right?
Absolutely.
Mucha
Yeah, yeah.
alabanza, of it. Um, you kind of took a step back from that, and we saw
Mm-hmm.
you take a step towards community organizing,
Mm-hmm.
policy, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
What led you to kind of say,
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with this, I'm
Yeah.
going this way?
Right. That's a great question. That's the first time someone's ever asked me that. So
Yeah.
that's a great question. Um, you know, when I did Noche de Alabanza, so when all these events started,
Mhm.
like they first started because I needed it.
Okay.
Because and not for a self-grandizing, like I want people to know Jerry. Like, nah. It was because I was in a season, in a place, in a moment in my old church, which I still love. And so I'm not, disparaging them. But at that particular moment, at that particular season, I felt alone. And I felt like I wasn't being sufficiently fed. And I felt like I wasn't making the connections that I needed to be like, okay, this is the community that I want, that I belong to. I felt like it was all ritualistic for me. Let me go to church Tuesday, go to church Thursday, go to church Friday, go to church Sunday, repeat, go to church Tuesday. So like I needed something for it to feel like, I have a stake in this. This is me. And so when I started Noche de Alabanza, it was just reaching out to people the same way I do with my encouragement in your DMs and the prayers in the
Yeah.
DMs. Like it's all about outreach and encouraging people. And so like I was like, I can't pray, God, send me people, send me people, send me people, send me people, and never take a step.
Mhm.
So Noche de Alabanza first started as something that I needed. I needed that for me.
Okay.
I needed to see God, you backing me up. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna bring all the right people. Glory to God. Every year more people came. I started to make more people. I started to make more friends, and people would come from far to these concerts, and people were getting blessed. And I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Something that started because there was a need within me,
Mhm.
a need within me to like for a deeper thing with God, and it manifested and blossomed into something to help people. And so then it was around like the fifth one, which was I think the last one, and that one we did in Jersey, and there was something within me that was like, okay, this is great, but are you really being satisfied?
Mm.
Are you really feeling fulfilled? And I at first I didn't want to let go of Noche Alabanza because I'm like, yo, this is my once a year baby. Like I hope put
Yeah.
this. I wasn't even planning on doing 2 a years. I'm like, nah, but this is,
Yeah.
this is, God has been blowing up in this thing. Like, we got to keep it moving. And there was a series of things, where certain situations in church, and like there was church hurt and things like that that I experienced, that I looked back at, and it helped my focus shift,
Okay.
because it was like, okay, I've done all these concerts, this is amazing, but one thing that I noticed was only church people kept coming to my concert.
Mm, there you go.
And I'm like, yo, I get that this is wonderful, that this is amazing, and that even though we go to church, we still need healing too, right? And that even though we go to church, we are broken, and we need God to work with our mess. Absolutely. But there were no like non-Christians showing up to this concert. You know what I'm saying? I love Tovia. People weren't coming, non-Christians weren't coming to see Tovia. I love Emily Pena. Non-Christians weren't coming to see Emily Pena. It was a bunch of hallelujahs, which is great. Those are my people. And I'm like, well, how do I reach these people? How do I reach these community? And so at the time, I was working in property management. I was doing real estate. I was on my way to making good money, and an opportunity opened up to take a reduced position at the Department of Health.
Mm.
And I remember I was praying. I went to a prayer night, and I was like, all right, God. I went to the resting place in New Jersey. Shout out to Ali and the resting place family. I went out there, and I was like, listen, God, I know how they get down. They want to lay hands and speak in tongues, and they go in, and I'm like, that's great. But I don't want that. I want you. I need you to speak directly to me. That's what I need, because I'm at a crossroads. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what's going to happen. I need you to speak to me. So I went, and God put in my verse, and he put in my heart a verse from Psalms that says, I take the poor out of the clay, and I seat them in the table with the princes of my people. I said, okay, I received that verse. A couple of weeks later, I get hired by the Department of Health. You fast forward a couple of months, I'm getting invited to dinners at the mayor's mansion,
Wow.
and parties at the mayor's mansion to talk about programs. So that shift occurred in me. And I'm sorry that my answer is a little
No,
long-winded,
no,
but just
no.
to
That.
kind of give you context, like where I was like, okay, Noche Alabanza was a season. I needed that for that season. You know what I'm saying? And it blessed many people, and glory to God for all the blessings that came out of that. But it ran its course.
Mhm.
And so I needed to realize, as good as it was, I needed to let it go and be like, all right, God, I need you to move me and now organize to a different audience.
Yeah.
The same heart behind it, because I want people to see Jesus through me, and I want everything that I touch to be blessed. And so I needed to cater now to a different audience. You know what I'm saying? And we can discuss this as we go on in our conversation. But what I noticed is when I transitioned from audience, I have more unsaved people and less church people. So
That's no, no, no. I I appreciate you so much sharing that with us, because I feel like this new generation, myself included, and those who are watching me are, like, obviously, and I say this all the time. Like, I love church. I
mm-hmm.
love church. And
Yeah,
church is an amazing place for us to be saved and healed and things like that. But
yeah,
there's also a people that is ignored out there. Like, we don't
mm-hmm.
have
Yeah,
it, it's sad how we have people in our church who might be struggling with homelessness, and we don't
mm-hmm.
recognize that. We give them a
Yep,
sermon, but we don't have the tools to connect them
absolutely,
to the resource they need after that service, right? We have people
absolutely.
coming into our church who are struggling with mental health,
Mm-hmm.
and we give them the same cliche on a Sunday, but we don't know how to connect them to an agency that can help them with that.
Mm-hmm.
So as a
Mm-hmm.
church, me kind of thinking lately, and
Yeah,
me as a pastor, like I tell the leaders
yeah.
that, I love church, but we got to give them more than just a sermon. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
have to be the resource, connect them to things.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
honest question, when it comes to like mental health resources, is the church equipped based on what you have seen?
Right.
Are we equipped in that area?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. Yes, because obviously I'm never going to downplay again, for me, the reality that God can heal anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I will never downplay the significance, and I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying in general.
No, no,
Like
no. Yeah.
I will never downplay the I believe that God can heal. You know, and that God can definitely. There's no disease, there's no infirmity, there's no nothing that God can't heal. Um, no, in the sense that the church sometimes just rests on that and ignores the fact that in his healing and in his presence, God can also use man, woman, use people to be conduits for healing. He can use a therapist, he can use a clinician, he can use somebody, you know, a peer to give words of encouragement, to impart comfort, to, you know, even medicine. Medicine is not of the devil, medicine is not a sin, even imparting medicine, you know. So I would say yes, because obviously you know, we're talking about God and we know that God can heal everything, but no, because I feel like, especially in churches, when we talk about depression, when we talk about suicide, right? When we talk about things like that, we just dismiss it or say, you know, pray it because that's a demonic attack.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so, and then my question becomes, we heard about a bunch of pastors that completed suicide
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic. Do then, or what you saying is a life of service automatically disqualified because they were sick, they had a
Oh.
disease, and so, and because they died the same way somebody dies of cancer, somebody dies of AIDS, the same way somebody dies of COVID, right? If this person, if we are going to agree that mental health is a disease, right, and I'm sorry, that like depression, things that are like a disease, and they succumb to that disease, are we not, are we going to say then that God is not a loving, just God and going to send that person to hell because they were sick? And I believe that it is become a cop out for the church
Mm.
to not get involved. And so, you know, it's the classic, you know, and I see it even in a lot of the newer churches, that sometimes we revert to that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's that fear tactic of, you know, of beating, of telling people pray it because it's gonna take you, the devil's gonna take you. Like, no, like is God not that powerful that he can't use people
Yeah. No,
to heal?
I agree, man. This is an amazing conversation. Last week we had a conversation with some pastors about the same topic around mental health, and like how do
Mm-hmm.
we how do we kind of remove that stigma
Mm-hmm.
of mental health? Because I feel like sometimes it is like almost like you're mentioning kind of a monster to put mental health and church in the
Mm-hmm.
same sentence. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like for those who are in New York, and maybe not New York, but maybe those who are pastors in low income communities, like that is
Yeah.
something that we come across a lot. Is
Mm-hmm.
young people, elderly people, adults who are dealing with mental health, and at some point, we're gonna have to kind of either do some research or learn,
Mm-hmm.
try to learn so that we can like serve these people, because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
there's a gap. And like you said, like yes, God, like, and I agree 100%. I think God has the ability to heal and in a second change, people and
Mm-hmm.
remove and heal and replace. But I also think that the better we are equipped to kind of serve those people that walk through our doors, because
Facts.
I think I read a statistics that the majority of people who deal with mental health, one of the places they go to is a church, is a religion
Mm-hmm.
institution for
Absolutely.
some help.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's it would be sad for them to kind of walk into our doors and kind of, hey, I'm dealing with
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, and like you said, like a cop out, oh, we'll pray for you and kind of send you on your way.
Mm-hmm.
And what are some things that, if any pastors are listening from you, Jeremiah, that would you recommend so that pastors and leaders can begin to kind of learn how to deal
Yeah.
with this?
You know, I would say definitely reach out to your local city government. I know that mental health is a thing that a lot of city governments are taking more seriously. There's resources, there's grants. In New York City, there was a program a few years ago, where they helped train mental health peers in the church,
Mm.
and they were sensitive to that specific faith, whether it was Pentecostal church, a Buddhist temple. Like they were mindful of the religion, they were mindful of the faith, but they taught specific peers within the church, within the specific house of worship, mental health principles. Right? There's mental health trainings that you could take that are free online. That teach you how to have mental health conversations with adults, with young people, with older folks, with veterans. And it's also looking at our culture, right? Because this at least within our Pentecostal Latino world, they're not separate things. They go hand in hand.
Mm.
Because our culture plays a huge role in why we are so worried about talking about mental health, because la ropa vieja, what I'm saying, la ropa sucia stays at home. What I'm saying? We don't put that on display. Yeah, it would be bad for your family to know that what's happening in our home. Even if we need help, it would be bad for you to know, because then you're going to criticize, right?
Mm.
Even though you're not, but that's the
Yeah,
general
no,
thought
that's the
process.
thought. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like you're gonna criticize me, you're gonna tear me down, you're gonna bochinchar, and all of a sudden all the hermanos and the hermanas are gonna look at me funny because I'm struggling. You know, you mentioned the statistic about people who go to church dealing with like mental health. I went to church dealing with mental health.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I just told you Noche Alabanza. I started it because I was feeling lonely, and I was depressed, and I was frustrated, and I'm like, God, what I need to do something, because like this is too much. This is too much. Noche de Alabanza started from literally me. You went one time to Alpha y Omega. You saw
Yeah,
my
yeah.
old church.
Mhm.
You remember the little music booth that was in the back with all
Yeah.
this with the sound control? Me one day sitting in the back crying in the booth because I felt alone. And I'm like, it was one of those culto de jóvenes that I had to pray, preach, sing, do the peticiones, do the anuncios. And I sat in the back and I cried because I'm like, God, I am. And then everybody telling me, oh, aquí tú te vas a encontrar una novia. I'm like, Lord, all the girls here are like 11 years old. Who am I dating? Who am I dating? You know what I'm saying? All these are little girls. Who am I dating, Jesus? Ain't no one here. And so mental health is real, bro. And you're right. People show up to the house of God hurt,
Mhm.
sad, and we're supposed to be a place of healing. And we yell at people. We tell people that's the devil, and that's a demonic attack and a demonic stronghold. And so what happens is when you tell somebody that's depressed, that's the devil, then the immediate thing is, what did I do so that a devil could come in me?
Mm.
Am I that bad of a person that a demon had to come into my mind? And again, I'm not dismissing spiritual warfare, but what I'm saying is not everything is the devil, not everything is a demonic attack. You know what I'm saying? Not everything. I hit my foot against the wall. That's not the devil's fault. I hit my foot against the wall. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I catch a flu. ¿Quién me manda a salir under, in 20-degree weather with a hoodie like I'm Daddy Yankee? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's my fault. It wasn't the devil. The devil didn't send me the cold. I was dumb enough to walk outside with a hoodie and I got sick.
Yeah, and I think
You know what I'm
these conversations are important. Like that's how we have this space every Monday to kind of talk about stuff like this, because I feel like we need to hear this. Those who are listening, those who are connected, like share this with somebody. Like we need to hear these conversations because people are struggling, young people are struggling, and as a church, like like in my heart, there's always been, kind of how do I help the church kind of understand the effects of trauma, the effects of
saying?
abuse,
Mhm.
like we can just hours about the effects of domestic violence and inside the church, and that could be like a a whole nother like a whole nother hour. But like just like this is what I'm
God.
thinking about. You spoke about like how
Yeah.
like you spoke about housing, like how many of the people that we have in our church. First of all, English is they don't speak English. Spanish is their first language. Most of them
Mm-hmm.
are low income, so they come into
Mm-hmm.
church and they some of them can give, some of them can't, right? Because of the
Yep.
livable wage, right? They don't have money like that. They don't know what Section 8 is. They don't know any resources out there. They don't know how to get a voucher. So I think that like that information is helpful for us leaders to kind of give to those people. Um, you've been to a bunch of meetings, right? Like how can we? Because I feel this is, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the church is not at the table at the moment. Um, am I making
Yeah.
that up, or like, and if I am, you know, you can let me know. And how do we get a seat at the table? How do we get there? Because we need to be there.
Yeah. You're not making it up. There are churches that do come to the table,
Okay.
but it's like a handful of churches.
Okay.
For the amount of churches that exist, for the Gambian youth, the fire that just happened in the Bronx, you know, my own experience. Folks know that I was there for, trying to help. I was not the main driver of the help because that was the Gambian youth, South Bronx Mutual Aid, and the other organizations that were running that whole show. I was just there to support. But folks within my network that knew that I was involved because I was posting about it on Instagram, I was posting about it on Facebook. I had one church, no, two churches, I'm sorry, reach out to me and ask me, how can I help? Two. Two. And in one church is not even in the Bronx anymore. They're in Westchester. You know what I'm saying? The two churches, I can even shout them up because they deserve it because they showed up.
Yeah.
My old church, Alpha Omega, because they helped me. They gave me some numbers of people who to call. And Living Word Church in New Rochelle with Pastor Eric Aguirre
Oh yes, yes. No, no,
and
yes, yeah.
Pastor Richie Delgado from Yonkers. Pastor Richie Delgado and Melissa Delgado from Yonkers. They delivered. They sent over stuff. And they came with vans. They had people. Pastor Richie and Pastor Melissa showed up with people in truckloads, to bring stuff. But that was two churches. And so the reality is we have to be careful that we as a church don't become what we condemn, which is people who talk crap on social media but don't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? We have to be careful that we don't become trolls, right? We on social media, there's trolls. There's people that talk bad about you that don't even know you. There's people that talk bad about me that don't even know me. I get forget about it. I get torn up on social media by people. And I'm like, you don't even know me. You don't even know what I'm trying to do. Sometimes it's the very people I'm trying to help that tear me up. But that's another story for another time. But but like we have to be careful that we as a church don't become that. We don't become trolls. You know what I'm saying? That we're like, mira como este Pastor Braley, mira como hace las cosas, Like, look whatever. But when it's time to help, they're not there.
That's good.
In the advocacy world, there's something called performative activism.
I'm writing that down.
And performative activism is literally, if Braley, you fall right now, I run over there, I pick you up and I look into the camera and I'm like, look, guys, this is me picking up Braley. Wow. This is me. Pose for the picture. You know what I'm saying? This is me. But then once the camera turns off, I drop you back on the floor and I go back and that's it. I don't check on you. I don't look for you. I'm like, are you okay? Are you bruised? What's going on? Nothing. Because it's all a show when the cameras are around. I'm a performer. I'm a performer. Oh, I love you, Braley. Oh my God, Braley, you're the best. Braley, oh my God. The camera turns off, man. That Braley is crazy. And so sometimes we as a church do that. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's very easy.
I like that word, man. I'm gonna take that word was powerful right there, man.
We sometimes suffer from performative evangelism. You know what I'm saying? Where like, oh wow, Braley no tiene comida. Oh, let's take him a plate of food. Let's make sure we take pictures. You know what I'm saying? Let's make sure everybody knows that we're taking Braley food. Because we got to get likes from people. People need to know that we're a church that gives to people, and takes pictures and do all the things and then leave. We do performative evangelism in our own churches. Braley suffers. I keep using you because you're here. So
go ahead, bro.
Braley suffers from depression. Cool, Braley, come up to the front. Hold the hands on. Let's pray. Let's be tongues. Let's oil them. Let's shake Braley up a little bit. Okay, go back to your Bible. Thank you. Oof, that was good. Glory to God. No follow-up if you're okay. No follow-up if all the shaking and the speaking in tongues impacted you. No follow-up on if you're still suicidal, if you're still depressed. I did my part and I looked good doing it. And I know that God is checking my name in the book because I did my thing. we fall into that trap, and I include myself. You know, we all because we all wrestle with the
Yeah, yeah.
flesh, right? We all wrestle with our egos, and you know, performative evangelism is a real thing, and we have to break away from that as a church. We got to get involved. We got to volunteer. We got to be active in our communities,
Ah,
because here's the thing: you lose credibility when all you do is talk, 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 and do nothing.
mm, that's good.
When all you do is complain about, like I'm gonna get myself in trouble. You're free from this. Don't
All right, I'm out.
no nobody come for Brayley. You come for me with what I'm about to say. Yeah, you come for me. Whatever your thoughts are on abortion, right? Whatever your thoughts are on abortion, where are the churches that are providing support to these young women that are going to go get abortions?
Mm,
Support by like mental health services, support as far as like, young lady, why are you choosing to do this? Young lady, what's going on? Young lady, how can we help you? Young lady, what do you need? I've spoken to so many young women who feel alone, who are afraid to talk to their church going family members, and because they're ashamed or sad, they just do it and go and slink back in secrecy into their homes, broken and hurt, and without feeling like they can't talk to nobody.
mm.
And so, what I have a problem with, again, I'm a Christian. Hallelujah. I'm born and raised in church.
Go ahead, bro.
You
It's
know
a
what I'm
free. It's a
saying?
free. This
So
is a
I have
free.
a lot of values.
You're free to speak.
So, but what I have a problem with, what I have a problem is that you're gonna condemn somebody and, oh, it's bad. Oh, don't do it. Oh, all lives matter. Oh, sanctity of life. Great. But what about the life of the person that's taking this decision?
Mm.
What about their life? What about you looking at, like, working with them, talking with them? You know what I'm saying? Being there for them,
It- bro.
showing compassion to that
Mm-hmm,
person.
mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing: despite what everybody thinks, not every person who gets an abortion is someone who's very promiscuous. Despite the stigma, not everybody who gets an abortion, is somebody is a heathen who can't do things. I've spoken to young ladies who are churchgoers who are afraid to tell their grandparents who are pastors that they're pregnant,
Go ahead.
and so they opt for that option. And I say to myself, and trust me, I try to converse with them. I have conversations with people, but I ask myself, what if that person had access to their grandparents,
Wow.
and they saw compassion in their grandparents, where they could talk to their grandparents and be like, this is what I'm thinking. Because if you're gonna attack, and you offer no support, offer no services, you know what you are? You are a troll. You're a troll. You're just talking. Your words mean nothing. Your words mean nothing. Words without actions, nothing.
Nothing.
They mean nothing. If babies really matter to you the way you say they matter to you, where the church is willing to adopt the babies, where the church is willing to fund, like, hey, let's raise up money to help this young girl that we see that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, where are the resources?
For that
Where,
first
where is
5 years
that?
or something. Yeah.
Instead of shaming the person, instead of condemning the person, instead of making her feel bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, where are the resources? This is not a theological debate. We're not talking about the theology of abortion. We're not talking about that. You know what I'm saying? That's not what this is about. What this is about is that, if the church is going to be so loud about subjects, they cannot just be loud in words.
Mm.
Be loud in actions.
Wow.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Mm.
You want to defund, programs? Then I don't see you funding programs to help the community.
Mm.
Yeah, and if there are, please tell me, because I would love to know. I honestly, sincerely mean it. I would love to know. I would love to know. But that's all I'm saying. Again, there's not a theological debate. This is not a what side you land on with the abortion issue. All I'm saying is if you are going to be loud on the subject matter, please give me some action. Let me see you actually do something
Yeah.
about it.
I don't
That's
think
all I'm saying.
I don't think
That's
you
all.
said anything wrong there. I think and because this is happening, right? This is happening. You know, we may try to
Yeah.
turn a blind eye
Yeah.
to things, but these things are happening not just outside but inside as well. Like there's this young, like you said, girls
Church.
that
Inside
go and
the church.
they're afraid and there's no system of support for them, right? There's no system of like, okay, I hear
Yeah.
you, but who's gonna get me the Similac? Who's gonna buy me the diapers? Who's going
Mm-hmm.
to like provide me with resources so
Mm-hmm.
that I can get connected to rental assistance?
A job.
Who's going a job? Who is
Daycare.
going
Yep.
to, when I come into church with a black eye because like who is going to take me to an office, a shelter, a domestic violence
Mm-hmm.
organization,
Mm-hmm.
who's going to call out when things are wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to do that for me? Right? So I think everything you said
Mm-hmm.
is truth, and I
Mm-hmm.
think for those who pastors and leaders, including for myself, like God has been working with me on the same topic you've been talking about. Because in my opinion, church is going to look very different in the future. Um, People need more than just the same, like you said, the same routine of like we want to see action. We want to see
Yeah.
I would love for us to have a service so we can kind of go in and we have a city worker come in like, hey, listen, um, these are the resources for you.
Mm-hmm.
I would love I would love to
Yeah.
come into a service and instead of hearing a sermon, hearing an advocate of for domestic and intimate partner abuse speak on that. And you would be surprised how many
Mm-hmm.
of those other
Mm-hmm.
hermanitas and hermanitos, they won't raise their hands in the middle of the presentation, but after the presentation, when everybody goes, they will reach out because I think that's the way we kind of
Mm-hmm.
remove that stigma. So I think that you kind of just what you just said
Yeah.
right there, bro. That's a word right there for the church, for us, for all those who are
And
listening.
and and to be clear, it's not about stripping power away from God.
No, no.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. That's not what we're doing. What I'm saying is that the same way God can heal through prayer, through a worship song, through whatever, God can heal through services that are rendered.
Mm,
What I'm saying? God can heal. The chef Jose Andres, the from World Kitchen, when the hurricane happened in Puerto Rico, or when Hurricane Maria hit in Puerto Rico, and everybody was dying, and there was that crazy, scary moment. He went over there and he cooked a plate of food for people. FEMA was sending crappy sandwiches and crappy food that people didn't want to eat. He went and he made arroz con andule, like stuff that Puerto Ricans eat. And he was like, there's so much healing in a simple act like serving somebody rice and beans.
wow.
It brings comfort. And so what I'm saying is that literally like we have to stop putting God in the box of like it's only through the context of prayer and worship that he heals. No, God, yes, he can heal through worship, he can heal through prayer, but he can also heal through the clinician. He can also heal through through a city worker or somebody saying, hey, there are services to support you. You're not alone. If you're going through the intimate partner abuse, if you're going, if you're thinking about ending, your life, if you're thinking about ending a pregnancy, if you're thinking of all these things, there are services to help you.
Hmm.
And let's be clear also, just using the abortion issue, if someone goes through with the abortion, it's also being there for the person after
Yep.
and not letting your theological, you know, opinion or belief or where you land on the discussion deter you from that.
Yep.
Because again, like, you know, I believe that at the end of the day, the one who is asking all the accounts is God.
Hmm.
My responsibility is to help people and love people as best as I can,
That's it.
as best as I can. Is that it don't always look perfect. I'm not saying I'm the expert theologian or the expert advocate because I'm not. I'm just trying my best. And I believe that everybody should have a fair shot at love, at justice, at resources, at equity,
Mhm.
at hope, at services.
I agree, bro. I agree. I think you dropped a bunch of truth on us tonight, bro. So I want to personally say thank you for like for your time with us tonight. Um, you
Thank
have
you.
been a blessing, and to me, to those who are listening, and it's good. It's good for me to see that we're like to see people that even for myself, that people that kind of I know for a while, kind of involved in systems advocacy and doing all kinds of amazing work in the community. So what I would want, if it's possible, if you can kind of send me like a list of organizations so I can post it on our page, on our church page, and um
Gotcha.
can
Yeah.
people reach out to you directly on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna put
Absolutely. People can reach out to me.
um Jeremiah on Instagram. Reach out to him if you want to get involved, or if you want to get connected to some kind of help, or if you want information on something. Amazing resource, very knowledgeable. So please reach out. Let's use Jeremiah as a resource. And thank you, bro. Thank you. Appreciate you coming on here and speaking truth and
Thank you for
sharing.
having me, man.
No, no, of course. We're gonna have to bring you back on again, man, because this is part of a bigger conversation that I do want to have with pastors, like and it's gonna be like it's challenging the systems in place, not only the structures outside the church, but the structures within the church as well. So thank you for helping me
And
out.
can I say one last thing
Yeah,
real
go ahead,
quick?
go ahead. End it. You got the floor, man, to end it.
I No, no, no. I was gonna say one last thing real quick. And to every pastor, to every church that's listening, that's been listening to the conversation, and you'll have your own opinions and your own thoughts. I don't want to disqualify the work that you're doing already. You're trying your best.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You're trying your best to be there. You're trying your best to lead your community, to be a good pastor, to walk with people. All I'm saying is that there are resources that you could tap into outside of the traditional, just like prayer and worship. There's resources that can help you interact, engage, and be more on a connect more personal level with your congregation. That's all I'm saying. Again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm attacking the church, that the church isn't doing the work. No, the church has helped me a lot. All I'm saying is there's resources that we can help you. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to be the expert in everything. There's resources that you can tap into.
Amen, amen. So on that note, we want to end it tonight. Thank you all of you who are here, who have joined us. Thank you, Jeremiah, once again for allowing us this space to kind of chat about this. And like Jeremiah said, there's resources. You don't have
Yeah.
to do it alone. Get connected. If you have questions, please reach out to Jeremiah, or and I'm sure he will be a great help for you. And let's do the work. Let's do the work. Let's be the hands and feet of Christ here on earth, not only inside the church but outside the building as well. So thank you guys so much. Good night, and we'll see you guys next time here on